unfortunately one of those things that you have to use index cards or is memories. So the idea in checklist, a lot of this is hopefully not new information. There are all sorts of statistics about communication, but the general important notion is that nonverbal communication is by far more important than verbal communication. And someone can say that they are engaged and interested, but if they look disengaged and uninterested, then guess what? The person who's receiving that message is going to feel as though they're disinterested. And nonverbal communication adds a lot of context. A good example of that context is when you receive a text message, you don't know how to read it, and you may misinterpret it. As a millennial, if you say thank you with a period, that is a very different message than thank you with an exclamation point. Those nonverbal cues, generally speaking, change how that communication is delivered. There's a general concept that this text gets into that focus on is exam in your model, your guide, how you sort of talk yourself through things. But we are going to focus on interpersonal, generally speaking, between two people. And there are some elements to this. The general notion is that there is a sender who is delivering a message, some idea, there's a receiver of that message, and there's feedback that that message is received, and there's context around when that is done to be able to hopefully interpret the message correctly. Ready to connect?
Nope. No.
That close. Yeah.
No.
Now we're connected. So what we're going to talk about is when the message goes between the sender and the receiver, the issues that can come up, and the blocks in communication. Very similar to when we talked about the different types of defense mechanisms. There's a bit of that memorization as to what they are. We're going to apply some, and hopefully to help you in Canvas, there are, I don't know, a bunch of NCLEX style questions about communication. I don't know if you saw them or not. Maybe you did. I forgot how many there are. And if you are curious as to the answers, they are at the end of this slide deck. And we can, and I think the rationale as to why the answer is here. There are different elements that can impart a challenge in communication. I'm going to speed through a lot of the upfrontness. Different relationships, social classes, the relationships such as a peer-to-peer versus a power hierarchy that may exist. Those are all things that can influence how a message is taken. Whether there's sarcasm applied to it, how it's delivered, those are all elements that change it. As we said, the verbal communication is much less important. These are the words of the actual literal message that is transferred. What is much more important is the non-verbal communication skills, which are those things that change how a message is delivered. And those include how one appears. So for example, if you're just think about this, a lot of this course is basic everyday life skills. Let's say you're going out and your date in front of you, and they're like looking into your eyes, asking you about your deepest desire. Versus if they're asking you your deepest desires and they're like, oh my God. Like so yeah, what's nurse school like? Any more lines? One, the same message. which one's going to create more interest? The first, the loving eyes, not the, feet up, look at my lovely shoes, I'm disinterested, staring at my watch, disrespectfully asking for some service, more wine. So the same message, the same literal verbal communication occurs, but the proxemics of how it's delivered, aka the body language that's delivered, strikingly different. And one of the ways that you can portray communication, portray interest in someone, is to have strong nonverbal communication skills. But the purpose of this, or this chapter, is to answer a very simple question. And those questions, or three, are something like this. These are the questions you want to be prepared to answer on the exam. Which is the most therapeutic response? And why? And which is the least therapeutic? And why? Those are the two or most important questions you'll have to answer on this exam. And the textbook and your ATI book do a great job in tables and grids of explaining what those are, but they so close it. We're very good hands. Doesn't give any reassurance of an outcome. Number 34 is don't give advice. 4A is do not give personal recommendations. Now here's where you can internalize how much this is personal. Typically people make decisions when they make the decision themselves. For example, I can give you until that decision. Is okay to educate. Is okay to educate on options. Here are some options. You could use them if you like. That's educate. You should answer the most 40. Do not think about if this patient was in front of me, what would I say? Because most likely what you're going to say is wrong. That will be on exam 3, maybe, in your 5. Interviewing, patient disclosed that her boyfriend in the waiting room. Would you want to say? I hear you. I saw her kill it.
I said, did you kill him?
Waiting room playing Pokemon.
Why? Who killed him?